Hi guys, alright, I'm back again for round 2 of today's. I am on the side of the road because I need to pick up the kids from piano. And what I wanted to tell you is, I'm afraid the phone's going to fall. But anyway, the other day I had this really cool experience. I went and did a past life regression therapy, and it really opens your eyes. You know when you have like deja vu, you swear that you've done this before, had this conversation before, you've been somewhere, and you're like, I've been here before. That's considered a past life regression, which is really freaking cool. So I voluntarily went into this because through Reiki, I just am really open to trying new things. And I've had deja vu, meeting with somebody, being somewhere, whatever it is. So I really wanted to tap into this. So I went and I got into a state where you're aware. So you go through, your therapist will help you travel somewhere. So when I got to my first lifetime regression, all I saw was darkness, which is normal. And she said, just wait a minute, things will start to clarify. So I looked down at my feet and I was standing in grass and I was barefoot. And all I could see was my feet in grass. And I'm like, okay. So then I looked up and I could see that it was a beautiful day wherever I was. And I was wearing like a Roman cloaky type thing, but I knew I wasn't in Rome. I knew I was a female. And as I was looking around, I realized I was in Ireland, which is really cool. And I'm Irish, so that makes sense. So my therapist said, you know what, Chris? No, she actually didn't say my name. She goes, start to walk. Can you move? And after that, it just all started connecting. I could see so many things. I was walking on a dirt path. I was a sheep herder. I went into a small white thatched hut. I opened the door and I realized I live alone. But I was so happy and content living alone. And at that point in that lifetime, I led a very simple life. I tended the sheep. I had a little black kitty with the greenest eyes ever, who was my companion. Yet, as simple as this life was, we're talking one room, sleeping on a bed of straw with a rough type of blanket to cover me, I was so fulfilled and so content. It was really unbelievable. And every night I would sit by the fire and read the Bible. So then I was asked to fast forward. Next thing I knew, I was getting married in a very simple church, still in Ireland, to a person named John. I couldn't make out the face, but we were both cracking up. Like, this is so silly. What are we doing getting married? So it was a very lighthearted type of relationship. And then it turned out that he owned a bar, shocking, and we lived across from the ocean in Ireland. He ended up going up to sea and never returning, and we ended up having one child together. And when my therapist said, you know, what do you see in the crib? I say, oh, it's a baby boy. And then I was saying, oh my gosh, it's Finn. Now remember, you're aware, but you're not aware. And if you're a visual person like me, you're able to see and just keep talking. So I was able to keep talking. I ended up leaving that life in my 80s, perfectly content, alone again. Then I got a second regression, which was really cool. And this time I was in Hawaii, and I was wealthy. I was like, solid. And I was married again, but this time to someone who was abusive. And she said, why are you staying? And I said, well, I'm making plans. I'm saving money so I can make the leap to live in a house in the Hamptons. Because I lived, even though I was in Hawaii, I lived in Garden City. To it, I divorced this person when I was 45, and I wrote a book. It was called The Way Out is Through the Way In, which makes sense because I want to write a book. Maybe my past life will catch up with me. And I ended up becoming a famous author, and I ended up having a daughter, and it turned out she was Lucy, my other daughter in this life. So it was just so incredible to have such visions and feel that this was so real and so happening to me. The other cool thing was my deaths in these two lives were very peaceful. I died in my sleep. And the other interesting piece was the man I married in Ireland, I met again in that lifetime in my 80s. What? And at that point, I was living in Malibu. The windows faced out to the Pacific Ocean, and people were coming to see me because I was helping them. But I was a very vital 80-year-old. So it seems that the person I met, I want to say like 18th century Ireland, came back to me during that second lifetime. So my question was, before I went into this past life regression therapy, was when I get angry, and it takes me a very long time to get angry, but when I get angry, why can't I pass through it quickly? Why do I hold on to it so much? And what came up through this therapy was, because I was abused by the second, the husband in the second life, I have a real issue with any type of disrespect or watching disrespect go on in front of me with my children or with adults. Any type of it, as slight as it is, I go ballistic. So that kind of makes sense to me because I wasn't respected. So that's something that I really want to make sure I'm more mindful of this time around, and that I learn the lesson, which is when I see disrespect going on, settle into the space that I'm in, which is uncomfortable, angry, upset, breathe through it and address it calmly, not screaming, not yelling, not false, what's the word? 'Cause I'm always telling the kids, you're never going to do that again, or you're never going to your friend's house. You know, that's a lie. Of course they're going to go to their friend's house. So I just found it fascinating that John was the guy in my first life that I recalled, and now I have a John again. And I also questioned the alone piece. In both of these lifetimes, I had great periods of being completely alone except for a cat companion. But the piece that I really was happy about was that I was so happy and content being alone. I relish it. I've been alone in this lifetime, and I relish it. So that's something that's passing with me as I go through these different dimensions, which I think is truly amazing. And I also know that I thrive when I am in routine. That's what the first past life transgression really showed me. When I am out of my routine, I make terrible decisions. I don't do things that are healthy. I continue to do things that are harmful. So if I learned two things, I learned be mindful of how I sit with my anger going forward, and to honor that having a routine is not boring. Having a routine is healthy and keeps me on my path. The other thing that likes to attack that peacefulness is my ego. And I have to remember that my ego needs to feel like it's got a job. So if you give your ego a job, like, hey, let's make sure that we are kind today. Let's go out of our way to be kind. The ego's going to be like so excited because you gave it a job. You can't kill the ego. Doesn't work. The ego will sabotage you. Love and ego really can't coexist peacefully because the ego likes to keep you scared. And I know I mentioned this before, it has a role to keep you safe when there's danger, but really, are we ever in threatening life situations all the time? No. So that's why you really, really need to be mindful of your thoughts, and to make sure you have a mantra to combat, well, that's not the right word, to embrace the attack thought, feel it, and then let it go and replace it with your positive thought. It could be, God is love. Peace begins with me. That's great to use when you're with someone that's causing you heartache, because it's impossible to fight with someone if you don't fight back. Remember, calm is power. All these things that I share with you, I have used, and when I use the skills and tools that I've read about, everything flows better. I mean, everything. No one can get to you unless you allow it. So I got to get the kids from piano. So I want to leave you with this. Remember to meditate. It's your time to sink back into wonderful you. It's your GPS. It's your guidance. You get intuition. You can ask a question before you go into meditation. And if you are open and if you are still, you will get your answer. I promise. Just be on the lookout for it. And the other quick piece was, your lymphatic system starts up with your feet and goes all the way through your body. The quicker you can do vertical actions when you're upset or tired or angry, you'll release it, you'll break it up, which is good. You're getting the stress out of your body. So any jumping type behavior, vertical type behavior truly helps when you start to feel yourself going to a place of upset, disappointment with yourself, anything that you can do to bring you back. Start with 17 seconds. I think I said that last video. When you're between a healthy choice and a negative choice, and you will start to move a little bit closer to the better choice. And always, always, always be kind to yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Before you go to bed, appreciate yourself, because you matter. You matter so much. And I love you all so much. And I have to finish. I gotta go get the kids. And have a wonderful night. Enjoy this gorgeous weather. And love, love, love to you all. Mwah.